Welcome back. We're here with Brandy White, Executive Director of the Seville Center here in Stillwater. Brandy, welcome.
Glad
you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. Christy made a good point a minute ago. It's a holiday season, almost Thanksgiving. There's a lot for people to be thankful for here in the city of Stillwater. There are some challenges, as we know. Anytime you have a city like ours, so you're going to have some challenges, and one of those is when children are abused. And a great service to the city of Stillwater in that regard is the Seville Center. Tell us a little bit about where the Seville Center is and exactly what it does.
Sure. We're actually located over at the corner of 9th and Walnut, and we have been there, I think since 2001, but we were established in 1998 really as a place for kids to come when there's allegations of child abuse. In the past, they would go from the child welfare office to maybe the law enforcement office. They would maybe go to the hospital. They would have an attorney or a judge that wanted to hear what was going on. And so children were having to go place to place and retell their story over and over. And so really the Child Advocacy Center movement is really just to give a place for a child and a family to go where the service providers come to them and the investigators come to them. And we provide wraparound services for that family while recording a forensic interview that can be used later instead of the child having to go through that over and over again. So we do provide the videotaped forensic interviews. We have a staff person that's her only job is talking to kids in a legally sound, neutral way. We also have a nurse on staff who provides medical exams and documents injuries, things like that. We have counselors, we have victim advocates. So really we're just there to provide anything that family might need as they're going through the process.
Talk a little bit about the house. I mean, when you come in, it's obviously very family and child friendly, and that's on purpose.
Right, yeah, that's the goal. We are located in a house, and we do want it to feel very welcoming and inviting. You can imagine a child having a medical exam done at a kid-friendly, cozy place versus at an ER. That's a very different experience for that child, and that's intentional on our part. We try to make it really kid-friendly. Everything that we do is child-appropriate. When we're decorating for Christmas, for example, we go around, and get down to kid level and see what they would see when they walk in the door and things like that. So we really try to keep that in mind and make it as friendly as possible. And our staff does a good job of keeping up on their training and knowing exactly all of the best practices, and we try to follow the national model as closely as possible. It's really a movement. It's a national movement. We have child advocacy centers popping up all across our country and now globally.
So two things I want to get to before the break real quick is, one, talk a little bit about the service area and then the counseling opportunities that you have there as well. Right.
So we serve District 9 for our district attorney's district, which is Payne and Logan County. So we go all the way down to southern Logan County, almost into Edmond, all the way up. And we serve Cushing and Yale and Perkins. Majority of our clients do come from the Stillwater area, but we definitely serve both counties. The counseling is really, if there's a disclosure of abuse, in the past we had really kind of focused on the investigation and making sure that families had what they needed. And really our board and our staff and our community came together and said, that's really not enough. We need to have a medical component that's supportive. We need to have counseling services that wrap around that family and make sure that in the future some of the triggers and the emotional trauma, all of that can be prevented if we get those kiddos in counseling right away. So we actually built a little annex building. We call it the Counseling Cottage. It's 600 square feet, really tiny, but it's just perfect for our needs, and that way we can provide on-site counseling for those kids. They already feel comfortable in our facilities, so they're a little more ready to come back and start the counseling process, which can be really daunting. Our counselor has a lot of years working with this population, and she does a really great job. So.
Yeah, good. Well, as always, when we have guests on, there's so much more to talk about than we actually have time for.
Yeah.
We're going to go to a break real quick. We're going to come back. I want to talk a little bit about prevention and then some dates and some opportunities for our viewers to be able to help the Seville Center.
Sure.
We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. We're here with Brandy White, Executive Director of the Seville Center here in Stillwater. And I wanted to start this segment by talking a little bit about the Seville Center is not just a place where children come that have been victims of child abuse, but we're also about prevention. Talk a little bit about what happens in the city of Stillwater with that.
We do have a pretty active awareness campaign, usually in April. That's Child Abuse Prevention Month. But we also have a couple of programs. We have the Healthy Steps program, which is actually in the pediatrician's office, where we talk with parents and caregivers about child development and, kind of where kids should be within their development, looking for red flags, and just really promoting healthy families within that program. We also have the Smart Start program, which is really about making our community a healthy place for kids who are getting ready to enter school. So this is really early childhood, focused. The analogy of, the baby's floating down the river, and we're down here on one end trying to pull kids out, but we also want to be up the river and stop whatever's happening for making them get into that system. So we're really, it's definitely two-pronged. We have to respond appropriately to the allegations of child abuse, but boy, we'd really like to work ourselves out of a job eventually, if that's possible. Yeah. I also, if it's okay, can I jump in?
You bet.
Okay, I wanted to talk, I wanted to make sure we get this in there, that we have been chosen this year from Stillwater High School, chose us as the recipient of their SMAC Week fundraising that they do also in the spring. And so SMAC stands for Stillwater Makes a Change. And so I did want to mention that because we are so thankful that they chose us and some of the projects that we're working on that they are really supportive of. And so we're just very excited to partner with them this year. So.
Yeah, and those high school students bring a lot of energy and excitement to that whole thing, so that's good.
And I'm amazed at the level of maturity and responsibility that especially the leadership team for SMAC Week has brought. It's just been amazing. They are really on top of the game.
So in that same vein, talk a little bit about some of the dates that our viewers should be cognizant of, opportunities for giving. They can do that through SMAC Week too.
Right.
But talk about your dates in the spring and things that we want people to know.
Right. So we always have an annual fundraiser. We'll be doing an event April 8th, which is a Friday, which I believe is at the Alumni Center this year. So we're excited to be back there. It can hold all of us. So it's usually a dinner and auction. Our theme is Step Right Up for Kids, kind of a vintage circus theme, very fun. You can dress a little vintage and wear your flapper dress, I guess, if you want to. But so that's really fun. But before then, I mean, we always are looking for volunteers. We're looking for people who want to get involved. Here at the end of the year, we sometimes have people donating gently used toys because we do have a playroom where kids hang out before their interview and as they're kind of waiting for services. And so our playroom goes through toys pretty quick. The kids are kind of hard on them sometimes, so we do need to replace those. So a lot of times if you're getting ready for Santa coming, if you have some gently used toys that you would want to drop by, we would always appreciate those. Juice boxes and goldfish, crackers and things like that we could always use. So things of that nature. So we would appreciate anyone thinking of us here this time of year, definitely, because we do go through those things kind of quickly.
So one last thing before we're done, and that is we're almost to Thanksgiving, which means it's almost December, and some people think about year-end giving opportunities there. Talk a little bit about that and how, if people wanted to give here towards the end of the year, how they do that.
Sure. We love toys and juice boxes, but we like cash too. So, we have a Facebook page. We have a website, which is sevillecenter.org. And then we always, if you wanted to call us, 405-377-5670, we can talk with you about kind of the different levels of giving, or if there's something specific, if you wanted to earmark something for a specific project, or if you want to make a donation in honor of a loved one. We actually can send out Christmas cards. If you have colleagues that you don't know what to get them this year, you can make a donation to the center and we'll send them a card and let them know. So a couple of different ways that people could honor someone this year.
And so individuals as well as businesses in the city of Stillwater all get involved and help support the Seville Center.
Yes.
They can call your office if they have interest. You can call me and we can discuss that. We really appreciate you coming by today,
Thank you.
Brandy. Christy and I'll be back to wrap it up in just a minute.